A group of people approach a boy named Orandura. He's an enchanter, and it looks like the trio doesn't get along with him. Oren assumes that they're here relating to a matter about their next expedition. While seated at the table, he tries to tell them that he's in the middle of an activity that has something to do with the expedition. However, before he could even finish his sentence, the trio arrogantly informs him that he's been kicked out of the party as of today. A man named Oliver Cardiff, who appears to belong to the rank of Sword Saint, informs Oren that this is a serious matter and he has been removed without consent. Oren loses his cool and asks him the reason behind their attitude. He reminds them that they have been childhood friends and brothers in arms. Oliver tells him that this is the exact reason that he included him in the party in the first place. Apparently, they come from the same village. Oliver claims that from this point onwards, it's going to be too hard for Oren. He decides to be completely straightforward and blunt with his old friend by telling him that, simply put, he's not skilled enough. Oren becomes completely shocked by the words. He stands speechless as his childhood friend asks him to leave the party without creating any fuss. A little backstory reveals that 8 years ago, 10-year-old Oren and Oliver formed a party. That party gained the people's attention and thus was called a hero's party. Day by day, they unlocked numerous achievements. For instance, in the Southern Great Labyrinth where no one has ever reached the very bottom, Oren and Oliver's party became the first to reach the 94th level. They were a super skilled party that climbed up to S rank a mere few years after it was formed. Back in the present, Oren asks them why his skill is the only one being targeted. He asks Oliver the reason for not saying the same for all the party members. He tries to make Oliver understand that if they keep pointing fingers at each other, they will not end up anywhere. Oliver cuts him off mid-sentence again. He tells him that all this time, the party failed to realize the importance of the existence of a support magic user enchanter. However, in the Dragon Raid last month, the party finally realized how wrong they were about Oren's place in the party. To add a final nail to the coffin, fueling the anger inside of Oren, Oliver tells him without hesitating that he has realized that compared to other S-class enchanters, Oren's support magic is leagues below theirs. Oren lowers his face and clenches his fist after the betrayal. He reminds his party that his original job was a swordsman, so of course he would fall short of skills and fall behind them. Before Oren could say something about creating original magic, Derek Mosley, the defender, interrupts him. He tells Oren to quit his yapping. Derek points at Oren and yells the reason he converted to enchanter is that his sword skills also fall short compared to Oliver's. Derek aggressively approaches Oren and tells him that he also falls short as an enchanter, so he's not in any position to complain. Oren maintains his calm composure and reminds them that their party is lacking an enchanter. That is why he was chosen, as he was the one with the highest aptitude to convert. He confidently claims that he has compensated for his weaknesses with his own personal magic spells, and it is thanks to this that they have been able to survive so deep in the labyrinths. Unfortunately, much to his shock, Oliver completely ignores his words and states that they are the hero's party and are ready to move forward without him, as they have already found a replacement enchanter. Oliver claims that although he feels bad that things turned out to be like this, there is no other option left. Oren's vision gets dark as he stands speechless, wondering why they're willing to treat their comrade like this who has been with them through thick and thin. In the end, he just assumed that he was an unneeded existence and admits that he doesn't have a place here anymore. He thanks his party for everything and tells them that he's going to leave without bothering them anymore. Without any shame, another party member, Annalie Wild, a sorcerer, comments that even though he was able to do both magic and sword skills, his level is only A. She finds it annoying that Oren questioned everything they did. She mocks him one last time before he leaves and calls him a master of none. She tells him to try to do something that suits him this time. Oren gloomily looks back and thinks about how he will always give his all to the party, and this is what they were thinking about this whole time. While opening the door for the last time, he questions why he ever tried to get involved with a party like them. The next day, he wakes up in the afternoon and realizes that he overslept. He had arrived at the inn after getting abandoned yesterday and sulked the entire day. Now he has decided not to think about what happened. Shrugging off all the negative thoughts, he thinks about how he's going to make a living. He's able to only think of 3 things. One is that he can continue his work and scour labyrinths for materials and sell them. The second option is that he can work somewhere, and although he might earn less, it's more stable. The third option is that he can open a shop and earn a lot, but there's also a high risk of failure. Eventually, he concludes that among the 3 options, the best one is to continue as is. It's not like he wants to become rich as he came to the city to be an explorer. He came here with Oliver, but it's not like he wanted to chase him around. He's decided that he will return to being a swordsman. It appears that a labyrinth has just opened up nearby recently and has decided to practice there. The guild staff asks him if he's going to go alone, and he wonders if there's a problem with that. She informs him that although rule-wise there is no problem, it is quite dangerous inside, so he should enter with a party. He thanks her for warning him and asks her if she has closely looked at the guild card she has given him. Her jaw drops to the floor when she realizes that he has reached level 94. She awkwardly apologizes for her rude behavior and allows him to enter. The sudden change in her attitude even surprises Oren. He enters the first floor and encounters a horned rabbit. He smiles while realizing that a monster like this should be perfect to train with a dull blade. He effortlessly slashes the creature and realizes that it's an easy win. Maybe he hasn't dulled as much as he thought. Since he has come all the way to the labyrinth, he decides to go a bit deeper to train some more. Step by step, he reaches the 3rd floor and realizes the number of demons is gradually increasing, but the monsters around here have low intelligence. He decides that maybe he should try casting his support magic too. It seems that support magic is a type of magic that is commonly applied as buffs to one's own body or to increase a weapon's effectiveness. Not only for party members, but enchanters are also able to buff themselves. He activates this strength. Support magics are extremely convenient. However, they still have a weakness, and it happens to be time. Their effects don't last forever. Depending on each individual's magic resistance, the effective time also changes. In his case, it is 180 seconds. Therefore, he only has 3 more seconds to deal with the demons that are remaining. Enchanters who use support magic are always racing against time. Orin realizes that he has achieved a new fighting style that involves switching between swordsman and enchanter. He has a new determination too. He wants to evolve to the point where he will never let anyone call him a master of none ever again, but he will become the strongest jack of all trades. Eventually, Orin reaches the 7th floor and decides to call it a day. He saves his progress at the transfer crystal, which allows the user to teleport to saved floors. These crystals are placed in front of each floor. While he is in the middle of doing so, he overhears the conversation of another party that seems to be bickering over something. One of them is getting yelled at for leaving behind a girl as bait and running away. Apparently, he thinks what he did was right. As soon as Orin hears that part, he gets shocked. The culprit tells them that they were more monsters than they had thought. So rather than leaving old party members behind, he decided to leave someone who had just joined. It's almost as if Orin is getting flashbacks of the day he was abandoned. He can somewhat relate to the victim of the situation, but he also blames her for choosing party members like them. However, when the thought of her possibly dying crosses his mind, he breaks his silence. He finally turns around and stares them in the eyes. While calling them a bunch of kids who wouldn't stop whining, he asks them why they aren't going back to save her instead of complaining. Without any hesitation, he calls them the type of people he hates the most. The culprit raises his fist while yelling that he was left all alone back there. How could he have possibly saved her? Orin effortlessly dodges his punch and swings the entire man in the air. With clear rage on his face, he asks the party members about the location of the girl. While sweat rolls down their faces, the trio gives away the victim's location. After that, in the blink of an eye, he disappears into the labyrinth. Meanwhile, the helpless girl is surrounded by huge monsters in every direction. She tries to put up a barrier and prays that someone will save her before her barrier magic collapses. Orin runs at his maximum speed while declaring that people who leave their members behind have no right to form parties. She keeps calling out her older sister's name and hopes that she might come to save her. Suddenly, someone uses air shock to push all of the orcs away. Orin has arrived to save the day. He politely asks her to only focus on her magic barrier and to leave the rest to him. Meanwhile, she wonders if the guy is a magician or a swordsman. Orin uses his support magic to amplify the strength, skill, and sharpness of his sword. The girl stares in amazement when she realizes that the swordsman used support magic as well. Orin calculates that there are about 13 orcs in his surroundings. Seeing their strength, he comments that it is understandable that a lower level party would flee against this kind of opponent. However, it is more than enough for him to handle it alone. With a single swing, he eliminates all of them. He turns around to face the girl and asks her if she's fine. He smiles while casting healing magic on her. The girl bursts out in tears and admits that she was scared to death. Orin pats her head while knowing that she is feeling this way because all of her allies abandoned her. She thanks him and the duo leaves after hearing more demon beasts approaching. When they reach the dungeon's entrance, the girl introduces herself as Sophia Claude. It seems that Orin recognizes the name with the emblem on his shirt. She asks him to let her treat him to dinner so that she can properly offer her gratitude. She tells him that she cannot arrange something home cooked, so they will have to visit a restaurant. Orin blushes a little and hesitates to accept the offer at first, but eventually gives in. He asks her if she's decided on a place. If not, he's willing to introduce some restaurants to her. So they're off to a good start. Her rabbit emblem shows that she belongs to a major explorer clan called the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky. Basically, a clan refers to an organization made up of a gathering of explorers. Items brought back from dungeons can be processed and sold here. The sales from the store are used for the equipment of the members. Apparently, her clan has the largest number of explorers. The part he doesn't understand is why Sophia had to join a stray party. She takes him to her clan's restaurant where he recognizes the girl Sophia refers to as her older sister. The girl reprimands Sophia for already having a boyfriend at such a young age. She then stares at Orin and tells him that it has been a while. Her name is Selma Claude and she is the leader of her S-rank party. She is famous not just for her beauty, but for also being the strongest enchanter. Her skill allows her to be on par with Oliver's hero party. Apparently, she is also the reason why Orin was expelled. His strength as an enchanter was compared to hers by Oliver. Apparently, Selma introduced the concept of roles among party members as well. The role of being the attacker, defensive, defender, rear support, etc. Because of the new role system, Orin had to convert to being an enchanter and was seen as inferior compared to her. However, he doesn't understand why she's glaring at him like that right now. It looks like she has a misunderstanding that he has somewhat fishy intentions with her sister. However, Orin doesn't have to clear his name as Sophia does that for him. She calls him his savior, but it only lands her in hot water. Selma gives her an earful for secretly entering a dungeon all on her own. She then apologizes to Oran, who now understands why a member of such a popular clan joined a stray party. He requests her to let him sit down as people have started to stare at him as if he's some criminal. He realizes that they haven't had a proper conversation since the collaborative subjugation last month, in which she was the leader and he was just a support enchanter. When Sophia asks Selma how she knows Oran, Selma informs her younger sister that Oran belongs to the Heroes Party. Sophia suddenly almost screams in shock and suddenly gets formal with him. While avoiding eye contact, he informs him that he is no longer a part of the Heroes Party as he left yesterday. Selma refuses to believe that he simply left and Oliver let him without objecting. Oran tells her that he has his own circumstances, so it was something that both of them consented to. She asks him if he's free now and she wants to do something for her. Oran misunderstands the situation and assumes that she's going to recruit him to her clan, so he refuses. Selma corrects him by telling him that she would like to accompany them on the collaborative exploration the day after tomorrow. She reveals that it is a new plan that they have for the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky. A few rookie explorers accompanied by an A-rank explorer will climb to the 51st floor of the Southern Dungeon for 3 days. She asks him why she's following such a reckless schedule. It usually takes 6 to 12 months to clear no matter how skilled a rookie is. She admits that although the plan is reckless, if they follow the shortest path, then it won't be impossible. The clan is made to work like there is no tomorrow because of their sponsors' expectations. Oran comments that if the sponsors are being persistent about such a reckless plan, then there must be some other ulterior motives. Oran tells her that he knows that if the rookies can bypass the boss floor, it would strengthen the clan overall. Selma's eyes become wide open when she realizes this guy managed to infer this much from what she said. She realizes that he's far smarter than she had thought. Apparently, a boss will appear every 10th floor and the rookie will have to defeat it in order to proceed to the next floor. It is a common occurrence to see rookies dying in those boss battles. But if the veterans were to distract the boss while the rookies bypass it and register with the teleportation crystals stationed at the entrance, they can advance further without facing the boss. In other words, it will greatly reduce the risk of training new members. Oran asks why Selma is willing to tell such important details to an outsider like him. Much to Oran's surprise, she tells him that she highly values him and it is something she realized during their previous collaborative subjugation. Oran asks himself why he's so happy over the fact that Selma evaluates him highly. If he accepts this proposal, he would have to go back to being an enchanter. Therefore, he tells Selma that he has his own plans. However, Sophia pleads with him with puppy eyes to participate with her. Oran contemplates for a moment and then agrees. However, he has one condition. He tells her that although she values him as an enchanter, he is already converted into a swordsman. Therefore, he is willing to join them as a swordsman. He seems quite stubborn as far as this condition is concerned and refuses to yield. She agrees to his condition and invites him to the clan's headquarters at 8 p.m. After the dinner is over, it appears that Oran gave Sophia money for the dinner. She concludes that he is indeed a kind and strong person. However, Selma doesn't approve of the direction Sophia's feelings towards Oran are headed. Selma reminds her sister that compared to him, she isn't behind as far as kindness and strength are concerned. The sisters bicker jokingly and Selma thinks about how she should deal with the party that abandoned Sophia. They reach the clan headquarters and Selma wonders that she should really focus on the guys that will partake in the collaborative exploration. She enters the captain's room, Vince Briarth, and reports 2 new things. First, she tells him that Oran has left the Heroes Party. Vince comments that without him, the Heroes Party won't be able to fight to their fullest. He also compliments Oran's magic activation speed and adds that it is 4 times faster than his. He also speaks highly of Oran's magical spells. Selma adds that Oran's ability to assess battle is also extraordinary. He also has all the necessary skills needed for an enhancer. The second thing she tells him is about her invitation to Oran. Vince comments that he has no problem with that, but wonders why Selma is so interested in him. He asks her if she's intending to add him to the first squad to replace someone important that is left. The only problem is his condition to be a swordsman. Her clan seems to be heading towards a downfall. Meanwhile, Oran meets someone close to him and finally breaks down in tears and relieves his stress. Oran has a dream in which he remembers old memories of his playful fights with Oliver. He was the weak one, because of which Oliver had to carry the burden of his superior's expectations. There is another girl named Shion who is always by Oran's side. He wakes up from the dream but fails to recall who the girl was. Oran steps into the entrance of the Southern Dungeons, gazing around in mild disbelief. Sophia and Selma approach him from behind, extending morning greetings. He reciprocates with a friendly "good morning," noticing that Sophia appears noticeably different this time. Wondering if it's the new uniform, Oran comments that the clothes suit her well. There's something fishy about how intrigued they are by each other. Sophia's cheeks flush as she thanks him, while Selma gives her a quizzical look and questions Oran with a hint of annoyance, asking if he's skilled in flirting or if he's involved with someone romantically. Oni-san playing the role of the ultimate big sister. Oran denies having such a person, explaining they all live together as members of the Heroes Party, so he's accustomed to it. Oni-san, somewhat embarrassed, realizes her misunderstanding and mentions that all the heroes once shared a mansion. Sophia inquires about Oran's current living arrangements, and he mentions renting a room in an inn. He had considered getting a new house but hesitated. Oni-san jokingly teases Sophia, asking if she wants to live with Oran. Sophia denies it, insisting she's just curious. Even Oni-san is getting mixed signals from them. They all wonder why Oran is standing at a distance, and he explains that as an outsider, he doesn't want to make them uncomfortable. Selma then suggests that he accompany her to ease the rookie's tension. Oran agrees and they move closer to the group. Recalling the previous night's meeting, Oran explains that he visits the headquarters as per their agreement. He meets Clan Captain Vince and receives details about the collaborative exploration from Selma. To sum up, the exploration spans 3 days, venturing into the Great Southern Dungeon, progressing from the 1st floor to the 51st. To accommodate the rookies, camping outside will be minimized once they reach a specific floor count. 10 rookie parties will join, with each client leader responsible for 2 parties. 5 guides, including Selma and himself, oversee the groups. Oran mulls over the collaborative exploration's prospects, acknowledging something substantial is brewing at the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky's headquarters. The battle against monsters, it seems, will take turns between the 2 parties, and if any unexpected event arises, the guide leader will handle it, which is really self-explanatory because every guide leader must handle such situations. As they talk, she asks if there are any queries related to the whole plan. Oran wonders aloud if having only 5 guide leaders is enough. She suggests involving more parties to help the rookies, reducing risk. She responds that while the goal is to guide the rookies to the 51st floor, some risks aid their growth. However, Oran feels they're not sharing the full plan with him. Accepting the situation, he agrees to cooperate. Moving ahead, she mentions payment, which is 2 gold coins up front, 10 upon mission completion. He finds it generous, and he thinks it's way too much and realizes she values him. Who wouldn't want to jump in? The quest is a paying gig. The next day, he notes the captain's silence. Doubts about the mission remain. He greets the 3 figures before him. Oran, one of the guide leaders, introduces himself as a frontline attacker. As he questions their roles and checks them out, he learns the team consists of 2 defenders, Anselm and Arnold, and a healer, Kathy. Oran wonders if there's more to their composition. Oni expresses trust in them for the next 4 days. Their goal, guide and greet the rookies. In the mission's arrangement, he senses oddities. Nonetheless, he agrees to collaborate, hoping to manage the hurdles that might come his way. Greeting everyone with a warm good morning, Selma-san reminds them of the plan. The ascent to the 51st floor of the daunting dungeon begins today. Nervousness clouds the air, evident in their expressions. Addressing their fears head-on, she assures them that unexpected challenges have been considered and a strong ally secured. Selma-san introduces their ace, Oran, revealing his astonishing accomplishment of reaching the 94th floor, a feat even they haven't achieved. Oran's sudden unveiling jolts him, and he listens as she narrates his history with the hero's party, making him a dungeon expert. The crowd reacts with a mixture of awe and murmurs, a flurry of questions forming. Oran's skeptical. The enthusiasm seems excessive. Looks like he didn't like all the attention. A confident voice from the crowd resonates, asking if this newfound assurance could propel them to the 51st floor. The chorus of agreement resonates, and she proclaims the expedition's commencement. Thunderous cheers erupt, propelling them towards the mission. As they assemble, instructions to stay with their respective parties echo. Oran inquires if the earlier pep talk was a bit too spirited, to which she admits his hero's party acclaim fueled her words. Still, she insists that leading the novices is her role. Oran nods, recognizing his responsibility over the 9th and 10th squadrons. His attention shifts to the rookies, promising talents, especially the 10th squad. Oran muses about his capability to guide such potentials. Their exchange unfolds, her trust in him palpable. As he takes the spotlight, Oran identifies himself, pledging to guide them for the next 3 days. Warm smiles and polite acknowledgements greet him, leaving him humbled by their respect. Inwardly, Oran marvels at their reception, a reward perhaps for his hero's party history. Sophia from the 10th squad draws his focus. Gathering their names and roles, Oran ensures all are accounted for. They confirm unity within the 10th squadron, and a 3-person squad is confirmed. A rare configuration. Oran acknowledges their rarity, knowing fewer members heighten danger, particularly with rookies. A voice interjects, expressing doubts about the seemingly brash attitude. Oran is taken aback, sensing the skepticism amidst promise. Worries for the future echo in his mind. As they stand united, the journey looms ahead, the 51st floor awaiting their exploration. Gathered together, Oran nods in approval, content that the entire team has convened. No problems as long as we're all here, he concurs. With a nod, he prompts, why don't we begin with introductions? One by one, they take their turns to share. Leading the way is Logan Hayward, commander of the 10th Squadron, occupying the Enchanter position. He speaks with unwavering confidence, aspiring to outshine Selma-san in the days to come. Oran can't help but raise an internal brow at Logan's audacity before motioning for the next introduction. Coraline Inglaud, the Defender. Oran's curiosity piqued when he notes her choice of light armor despite her protective role. Her explanation sheds light on her strategy. an evasion-focused defender who aims to engage magical creatures up close, aiming for maximum takedowns. Oron mulls over this approach, contemplating the wisdom of evasion over direct confrontation. Sophia Claude, possessing the roles of both a rare attacker and a magician, steps up next. Surprisingly, her simple introduction manages to ease Oron's rest of thoughts. Amidst the diverse personalities, he begins to reevaluate his initial assessment of the mission's complexity, a growing suspicion that the challenges ahead might be more formidable than he had initially gauged. The collaborative exploration has finally commenced. The rookies, despite their initial excitement, grow quieter as they enter the dungeon. Among them, Coraline of Squad 10 questions why a member of the Heroes Party is joining their endeavor. She's quite judgy, isn't she? From the perspective of the Heroes Party, they don't see them as rivals. Oron asks if she hasn't heard Selma's explanation. Oh, our hero is sarcastic too. He clarifies that he is no longer part of the Heroes Party and that they have always been cautious about the activities of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits clan. Caroline questions Oron's departure from the Heroes Party, wondering why he quit when they are so admired and it's everyone's end goal to be in the Heroes Academy. He dismisses the probing, explaining he simply isn't comfortable with such interactions. Oron brushes off Coraline's concerns, stating that it doesn't concern her. Is he hiding something? Why does he sound so suspicious? Coraline then brings up Sophia, asking if Oron is acquainted with her. Oron confirms his connection to Sophia, and Caroline continues, saying that Sophia speaks highly of a remarkable individual joining their operation. Sophia affirms this, mentioning that she has been saved by Oron in the past. Coraline, in turn, has heard of Oron's strength and his Heroes Party affiliation. Oron contemplates whether the conversation is meant to ease Sophia's tension, but his thoughts are interrupted by the growls of two dangerous wolves. Oron observes that their traps have worked effectively, causing the wolves to react. The traps are designed to activate based on time, and their success is evident. Such traps require skill to set up, but once in place, they are hard to detect. Multitudes would deal with the pursuers while saving energy for the crucial battles. Time was scarce. Pointless combat wasn't an option. On the 20th dungeon floor, Coraline asks Oron about their progress. He estimates around 10 more minutes at their current pace. This surprises her, and he believes they'd even finish ahead of schedule. They all make a good team after all. He observes his squad, initially skeptical of the trio. Logan, once perceived as an arrogant rookie, showed impressive enchanter skills. If he manages to endure prolonged battles, he could seamlessly integrate into a lively group. Undoubtedly a prodigy. However, the drawback lies in his role as an enchanter. His guidance in this field is rather lackluster. Yet, as he continues to amass combat experience, his strength is bound to boost. Then there's Coraline. Her aspiration is to be a swift defender, but despite her impressive speed, two shortcomings impede her. First, a tendency to recklessly charge into the fray. Though close combat suits a defender, her approach worries him. Secondly, her choice of wielding two daggers. While it might complement her abilities, it doesn't align well with her team's skills. Lastly, there's Sophia. Though seemingly trailing the other two, her skills have already outgrown rookie standards. While her hesitation poses an issue, more interaction with her team could compensate for it. She lacks any glaring novice flaws. Oron checks her out carefully, and very observantly, her future growth intrigues him. As for the 9th Squadron, there's room for improvement. Upon completion of the collaborative subjugation of bosses, our guide leader announces a halt. Oron reflects, we'll wrap it up for today. Selma underestimated the Knight's influence, I guess. Selma directs the three of them to work and move forward to the 21st floor. She advises card registration for the floor, and as they conclude for the day, they all affirm, yes ma'am. Selma acknowledges Oron's efforts, to which he replies, you too, Selma-san. She inquires about the rookie, and he notes room for improvement in the 9th Squadron and praises the 10th Squadron's excellence. However, he highlights the lacking coordination, particularly Caroline. Selma chuckles, remarking she might be third in line, but she'd come far from her past self. They bid each other goodnight. Finally, they can get some sleep. The sun rises on the following day. Oron's apprehensions prove valid as he reads a newspaper. The front page reveals the replacement of the Heroes Party enchanter. Oron Dura's expulsion is now public. Oliver, the leader of the Heroes Party, asserts that Oron's subpar enchanting skills were the primary reason for the replacement. Oliver confesses they were unaware of Oron's limited capabilities in this area. Despite this, the party reached the unprecedented 94th dungeon floor, despite harboring this disappointment. Philly Carpenter, a recent addition, is an explorer active in the Western Great Dungeon. She's known as one of the finest enchanters on the continent, standing shoulder to shoulder with Selma Claude. The Heroes Party has newfound hope with her inclusion, marking a notable improvement. Oron, however, bears disappointment. He hoped that news of Philly's arrival wouldn't emerge until after the collaborative mission. He's skeptical of the Heroes Party and worries about the potential shift in the rookie's perception, especially Logan from the 10th Squadron. He doubts if Logan's pride would allow him to follow instructions after learning of this. Oron believes not all of the rookies would read the article, but for those who do, their view of him could change significantly. He's even curious about himself. Resigned to the situation, Oron heads towards the meeting point. A familiar voice calls his name. Runa, a healer in the Heroes Party, remarks on the time that has passed since the last meeting. 4 days ago. Oren acknowledges this, but reveals that while she was part of the party, Runa was the only one who treated him kindly. Her absence during his expulsion leaves him with lingering regrets. Runa asks him to reconsider returning to the party, emphasizing their need for his skills. Oren senses her high regard for him. He questions whether this is what the entire party wants. Runa clarifies that her plea is personal and that she'll do her best to persuade everyone if Oren agrees. Oren's face grows serious. He questions the sincerity of Runa's request, but she insists she hasn't read the article causing this rift. She recalls their promise to conquer the Great Dungeon together, including Oliver. Yet it was Oliver who led to her departure. She believes that promise has lost its meaning, a sentiment Oren quietly absorbs. Hopefully they trust each other more than this. He realizes that prolonging the situation will only bring trouble. He apologizes and walks away, leaving Runa disheartened. Oren acknowledges that even if he desired to continue and uphold the promise, he can't return. There's no place for him anymore. The sadness is evident on his face as he conveys that it's all too late, and everything has changed since that fateful day. Amidst the buzz of hushed conversations and murmurs, the aftermath of an article had taken hold of the crowd's attention. Oren found himself amidst the chatter, wondering how many would lose faith in him after reading about his expulsion. The article claimed that Enchanter Arundura, once a part of the esteemed Heroes Party, had been ousted due to his perceived lack of skill. He is probably wishing he had trained better. In the midst of the Italian dialogue swirling around, a question lingered in the air. Had Oren truly been expelled due to his incompetence? He greeted everyone with a simple good morning, a stark contrast to the previous day's excitement he had fueled. Understandably, confusion hung in the air. Poor guy, he's so nervous now. Selma chimed in with an apologetic tone, though she had nothing to apologize for. She's such a sweetheart. She acknowledged that if Oren's panic persisted, their collaborative exploration might crumble. Despite his moral-boosting efforts, the situation now demanded caution. Selma's unnecessary apology stemmed from her belief in supporting him, despite her lack of involvement. Oren brushed aside her concern, asserting that he would eventually overcome this hurdle. He held himself responsible for not revealing the truth earlier, a choice that had inadvertently caused problems for Selma. He assured her that he would still contribute to the exploration's success, allowing her to focus on her usual tasks. She agreed, placing her trust in his words. As they exchanged assurances, the atmosphere lightened. Squad 9 and 10 meetings were on the horizon, and greetings were exchanged with a renewed sense of camaraderie. The group assembled, and Oren decided it was time to confess. The article held mostly true. He had been removed from the party due to perceived inadequacy. At least he's true to his companion. He expressed regret for not revealing this sooner. Just then, Sophia stepped forward, her voice unwavering. She vouched for Oren's strength, recounting his swift defeat of countless orcs. Looks like somebody has a crush on somebody else. She firmly believes his abilities were far from lacking. Oren's gratitude shone through, thankful for her staunch support. He explained further, clarifying that his strength lay not in traditional heroic abilities, but in his mastery of the sword. Oren admitted his capacity to transport them to the 51st floor of the dungeon. Although he was no longer part of the hero's party, he pledged his dedication to safeguarding the group as Arundura. That's a good hero right there. His plea mirrored the previous day's call to action, urging them to give their all, as they had done before. As they journeyed into the depths of the Yaosejring Dungeon's 3rd floor, camaraderie and determination bloomed. 9 squad members battled monsters valiantly. Oren's heart swelled with a sense of accomplishment as trust was rebuilt. Leading by example, he offered guidance, grateful that the heavy tension had lifted. The 9th squad had shown that theories alone wouldn't suffice. They needed trust to succeed, hoping nothing stupid happens to break their trust. In the end, the unspoken tension of the morning gave way to a united front. Through trials and challenges, Oren's journey continued with newfound determination, the support of his peers propelling him forward. A presence of malevolent creatures looms ahead, prompting a simple question from their leader. Is the 10th squad ready? The unanimous chorus of yes resonates with a sense of unyielding determination. Always in motion, the squad advances. Oren, with a quick nod to Coraline, instructs her to draw the goblin's attention. Meanwhile, Logan steps in, wielding his support magic to reinforce her efforts, while Sophia undertakes the task of subduing the orcs lurking at the rear. It's Logan's magical prowess that intrigues Oren. The ability to cast 3 support spells at once defies his rookie status. Logan's skill is impressive, yet Coraline's charge remains as bold as ever. Her headlong rush seems to promise a smooth confrontation. However, the true challenge arises with Sophia, who still bears the scars of the orc attack from days before. Just as Oren anticipated, the trauma has left her frozen, trapped in the clutches of fear. Gently, he tries to coax her out of this internal tempest. Calm yourself, he implores, reminding her of the camaraderie they now share. The squad is her safety net, Coraline, Logan, and himself. She's not alone anymore, and this realization is what empowers her. Oren's encouragement sparks a fire within Sophia. No longer bound by the shadows of her past abandonment, she rallies her strength. Utilizing advanced magic, her unleashed power is nothing short of awe-inspiring. The explosive force creates a whirlwind of chaos, surprising even Oren. It's a testament to her growth and resilience. Coraline's jubilant cheer and their ensuing embrace mirror the pride and relief felt by the entire team. Sophia's accomplishment is met with widespread appreciation. The ensuing battle is arduous, testing their resolve. Yet, against the odds, they reach their destination, the 36th floor. Selma, the leader, congratulates the team for their success, offering praise for their accomplishments. Tomorrow marks the final day of their expedition, and Selma wisely advises everyone to rest and recharge, ensuring they're at their best for the finale. As the group disperses, Oren finds himself intercepted by Bernard and Ansem, guides of the night sky's Silver Rabbit. They extend a rare invitation, dinner. Grateful, Oren realizes that they haven't judged him based on a questionable article. The gratitude flows as he accepts their offer. As they speak, the focus shifts to Sophia. They inquire if she knows Oren, to which she confirms her recent acquaintance. Her tale spills forth, how Oren rescued her just 3 days prior in the depths of the dungeon. The conversation turns towards the dangerous circumstances of their meeting, shedding light on the specifics of that fateful encounter. The day's trials reveal the squad's resilience and growing bonds. As they prepare for their final push, camaraderie becomes their most potent weapon, strengthening their unity. Each step forward, though fraught with challenges, is now infused with a shared purpose that propels them towards their ultimate goal. Hoping no one backs out at this stage. Logan asks Sophia if she could tell him more about Oren back when he saved her. With her eyes sparkling with curiosity, he wants her to narrate everything with as much detail as possible. Sophia looks confused as to what Logan means by the word detail. He explains that he wants to know the type of magic he casts and the fighting style he uses. He asks Sophia if she even remembers what happened back then. By Sophia's expression, it looks like fear of dying was the only thing that was on her mind back then. She tries her best to recall and then mentions that Oren used a spell that made a tremendous wind pressure when she thinks she was called Shockwave. Only, this much information isn't enough to satisfy Logan, so he asks her for more. When Sophia mentions that she remembers him using support magic to enhance his sword, Logan's eyes open up wide in shock. He asks her if he correctly heard her say, sword. Sophia explains that Oren used the sword to defeat all the orcs quickly. Logan ponders over the new information for a moment. The fact that Oren not only uses his magic, but he can also fight with the sword is quite interesting for him. Sophia comments that although she's not sure about his circumstance, but she remembers him mentioning that he converted into a swordsman after leaving the hero's party. This shocks Logan even more. He finds it impossible to believe that Oren converted. It makes no sense to him because recently he just witnessed him act as part of an enchanter quite perfectly. Logan remembers that he had a misunderstanding this morning. He was somewhat disappointed when he read that Oren was expelled from the party. It looks like Logan really looks up to Oren, and his expectations were shattered when he found that out. Throughout the expedition, Logan followed Oren's instructions because of his role. Logan comments that the way the first battle was handled with Theory was extremely boring for him. However, what changed his view was that particular fight with the orc. When he realized that the orc's movement was suddenly dampened, it was a defining moment for Logan's perception of Oren. He couldn't believe that a support magic like that exists, the type that could lower the target's abilities. Logan is still astounded by the fact that Oren can also cast a debuff. He explains the debuff is a high-level magic that is difficult to cast. You need to accurately grasp the target's magical resistance and precisely tweak the magic formula for it to work. The craziest part is that even the most popular enchanter, Selma, finds it hard to use such difficult magic. The fact that Oren is able to use it so casually speaks volumes about his strength. The only word that comes to Logan's mind is the word amazing. The first time they fought together was according to the theory which was conducted to evaluate our skills. Back then, when that was done, efficient instructions were given to us based on their quirks and skills, which is why they were able to advance through without issues. Logan recalls that even though it's only a slight difference on how he usually fights, it is as if his skills have grown exponentially. He clenches his fist in excitement when he realizes that the differences are apparent, and Oren as an enchanter is beyond what he had originally expected. What he doesn't seem to understand is why Oren decided to convert into a front attacker. It's a different story that Oren is amazing even as a front attacker, judging from the fact that he could defeat a dozen or so orcs in an instant. Sophia and other squad members aspire to be like him when Logan wonders how Oren could be a frontline attacker and an excellent one at that. Logan lowers his head and comments that although he was called a prodigy by a bunch of people, a genuine prodigy can only be someone like Oren. He narrows his eyes and promises not to give up. This has only strengthened his determination more. He knows that he has to succeed as an explorer no matter what, and for that, he's willing to steal from Oren and get stronger. His squad members notice his angry expressions and call him out. He responds that he's just getting fired up for tomorrow's exploration. Meanwhile, at one of the restaurants affiliated with the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky, the squad is getting to know Oren better. The squad's guide leader Bernard wants everyone to drink heavily, but Oren tries his best to remind them of their exploration tomorrow. The guide leader Anselm takes Oren's side and reminds the others of their duties to instruct the rookies. Realizing that Oren is as straight-laced as Anselm, Bernard agrees to drink only till midnight. Oren comments that since his clan squad members are regulars at such expensive restaurants, they all must be highly privileged as far as their income is concerned. Bernard tells him that their pay is only mediocre compared to the hero's party. Since their job is basically a suicide mission, they at least want to enjoy as much good food as they can. One of them asks Oran if he did not live luxuriously before when he was back at the heroes party. Oran responds that since he also handled administration work back then, he didn't really have time to enjoy luxuries. Bernard asks him out of curiosity if he's still close to his previous party members. It appears that the rumor is floating around that the heroes party seems to be in somewhat of a disagreement, and the article to this matter also irritated Oran. He usually doesn't respond to these types of questions, but this time he comments that everyone in the heroes party has different tastes and interests, so they enjoy their free time privately and hardly ever eat together too. Everyone gets shocked that Oran is able to talk so freely about his ex-party. They ask him about the fact that he used to be an enchanter in the heroes party, but said on their first meeting that he was a front attacker and also used magic during combat. Oran adds that he uses magic to support the magic users during collaborative explorations, but he's a swordsman now. They ask him for reasons behind converting into a swordsman after exiting his party. Oran narrates that initially he used to be a swordsman in the heroes party. He had earned that position for himself and had great admiration for it. This is why he thought this was an excellent opportunity to pursue his own dreams now that he has left the party. They ask him why he was so passionate about swordsmanship as a kid. Oran recalls that it was from his grandfather's influence. Apparently, a monster had attacked their village once, and his ex-explorer grandfather took care of him with just one blow from the sword. Such a spectacle inspired him. Another question is thrown at Oran. If he loved being a swordsman so much, why did he agree to be an enchanter for the heroes party in the first place? Oran informs them that when his ex-party ventures into the lower dungeon floors, they realize the importance of having an enchanter in their party. This realization was also a result of Selma's evaluation. Since Oran was the jack of all trades, the responsibility naturally fell on him. His party was able to reach the 94th floor thanks to him, which is why he believed back then that it was right to convert. However, he now admits that converting was a wrong decision. He soon realizes that maybe he's being too harsh on himself. What no one really knows is that the heroes party would never be able to reach the 94th floor again. When asked what his ideal swordsman is like, Oran replied that he looks up to someone who could clear an entire deepest floor of the dungeon alone. Meanwhile, Sophia wonders if she should ask Oran to stay once the exploration is over. She admits that she would be really sad if they split apart. The day to pursue the guidance quest for the Night Sky's Silver Rabbit, requested by Tengen clan, has finally arrived. Oran hopes that everything will go smoothly. He overhears someone's conversation that from now onwards, a new adventure party will dive deep. Oran wonders if they're talking about the party that's on his mind. It appears that the dungeon has 92 floors, and at the earliest, their squad would be able to reach the 3rd floor today. The purpose today seems to be the confirmation of the new party. So, in conclusion, Oran knows that he must move first. He wasn't expecting his ex-party to be so laid back after abandoning him. To be moving so fast with new members, it's almost as if Oran is being slapped right across the face. Firstly, there will be cooperation confirmation, which should be done in the lower tier where there is less risk. After overthinking the situation, Oran shakes it off after telling himself that it doesn't matter anymore. 2 days ago, at the Heroes Party's residence, they recruited a new member named Philly Carpenter. In the presence of Defender Derek and Magician Ansel, the Hero Party's leader, Sword Saint Oliver is introduced. He's an explorer whose outstanding abilities are widely known. It looks like Philly is an enchanter because Oliver is really proud of himself for adding her to the party. She quickly compares her skills of producing real buffs to Oran's shabby buffs. Suddenly, the conversation shifts to the ledger Oran was making. Philly is shocked by how expensive and luxurious food they have arranged for her. Derek comments that the amount of savings written in the ledger almost made his eyes pop out in amazement. He calls Oran a cheapskate for hiding this amount of money. According to him, money is meant to be spent. Oliver suddenly remembers that the management of the money was entrusted to Oran. He always knew there were savings, but never knew how much. Derek accuses Oran of wanting to use their money without their knowledge. He comments that it was a mistake for letting him manage their money and Oliver was right to kick him out. Philly points out that maybe Oran was saving for the party's activities. It seems like she's the only one with her brain cells intact. She lists down various important matters that require money, including expeditions and the mansion's rent. Soon, the party's healer Runa barges into the room and she seems to be panicking. When she sees Philly in the room, she stops mid-sentence. Oliver knows that judging by how panicked she is, it's probably about Oran. She's not informed about what happened to Oran. It appears that she has been told that the party is planning to expel Oran from the party, but she kept disagreeing with the idea. This is why Oliver expelled him when she was not around. Oliver assumes that she has feelings for him. He tells her to say whatever she wants to say in front of Philly. With an angry face, she asks him why Oran is going into the Great Dungeon with the Silver Rabbits of the Night Sky. She asks him how things have come to be like this. This causes laid-back Oliver to become speechless. Sweat rolls down his face as he imagines his old friend joining his rival party. It's only been 3 days since he was expelled. Oliver thinks that there is no way he has the guts or the skills to have joined such a popular party. The others shout in rage. They can't believe that Oran actually thinks he can perform like an S rank. Runa commands them to tell her what happened when she was gone. Oliver tries to calm her down, but Ansel blurts out that he left the party. This stuns Runa, and she assumes that maybe Oron gave up on them. However, Derek soon steps in and corrects her. He yells that they are the ones who abandoned him by expelling him. Runa's anger becomes apparent when she realizes that a decision was taken despite her refusal. She announces that they are doomed to failure as the only pillar holding them together has left. Oliver doesn't understand why she holds Oron in such high regard. He tells her that regardless of what she feels, nothing can be done now. He announces that they will be doing party tryouts at the dungeon's 92nd floor. Runa proclaims that this would be suicide, and she doesn't believe that they can survive without Oron. This has started to get on Oliver's nerves. She demands them to hold tryouts at easier levels. Runa even ignores a greeting from Philly, who has joined the party as Oron's replacement. Clearly upset, Runa leaves the room. Philly becomes sad for not being able to get along with them, but it turns out she's putting up a facade and has ulterior motives. The next day, during the tryouts, Oliver realizes that Philly's buffs are disappearing a bit too quickly. The moment it disappears, their bodies become heavy. He recalls that this never happened with Oron. Back then, they could fight for hours on end. He assumes that maybe Philly is performing poorly because they made a sudden jump to the 92nd floor. He asks her to inform them of the beasts attacking from their blind spots, as enchanters can have a full view of the battlefield. Philly immediately refuses while shaking. She claims that using support magic alone has become too much for her, let alone being a navigator as well. Oliver starts sweating now that the situation has finally dawned on him. He looks at Ansel, who is casting her usual spells, but they seem to be too weak to leave even a scratch on the monsters. He starts cussing when he realizes that his own powers have weakened. However, no one seems to understand why this is happening. Only Runa is the calm one. Oliver asks her if she understands what's going on. She is annoyed by their ignorance. After beating around the bush to frustrate them a little, she is about to reveal the reason behind them getting weak, which is actually quite the obvious one. However, before she could do so, a noise erupts from above. Oliver looks up and the view sends shivers down his spine. Black scales and massive wings, the boss of the 92nd floor has appeared before them. The black dragon stares at them with the intent to kill, while every ounce of hope leaves Oliver's body. They can't clear the 92nd floor without Oron. It was a suicide mission after all. The black scales of the black dragon make it impossible for the magical and physical attacks to harm it. Its strong limbs can take down any ferocious creature. Its roars are famous for freezing even the souls of the mightiest explorers with terror. While flapping its wings to assert dominance, it slowly approaches Oliver's squad. Meanwhile, Oliver wonders what in the world a black dragon is doing here. Apparently, in the Great Southern Maze, bosses make their presence known every 10 levels up to level 90. Although the bosses of the floors are powerful, they can only act up to a certain area. There hasn't been any incident where a boss would act outside of its boundaries. The Black Dragon is the 92nd floor boss. It's an enemy they won against when Oron was still in the party. The location they are currently in is outside of the boss area, which is why Oliver is so shocked. The dragon only lands, but the impact of the landing is so strong that it generates strong shockwaves and sends Oliver's squad flying in the air like a bunch of flies. Derek receives immense damage and everyone starts pointing fingers at Philly for not casting a buff on them. Meanwhile, Philly blankly stares at them as if someone has frozen her. Oliver realizes that this is due to fear. He suddenly recalls that Oron would have been able to buff Derek without hesitation even at a time like this, so he doesn't understand why a superior enchanter like her is losing her calm. Runa snaps Oliver back to his senses by yelling his name. She reminds him that at present they don't have any chance of victory. She begs him to buy some time for them to withdraw. After seeing the fireball accumulating at the dragon's mouth, Oliver realizes that it will be bad if they get pursued here, so he doesn't really have a choice. He shakes Philly to bring her back to reality and asks her if she can still move. He commands her to give him a buff and he will deal some damage on his own. Philly does as she's told and Oliver increases all of her abilities. He's confident that he can handle this. Although it is an unexpected situation, he believes that it should work out. He wields his sword and claims that he will overcome this with a supernatural power. He casts a magic called Magic Convergence and his sword starts shining in gold. Runa explains that the magic humans and demons beasts use are different. Therefore, Oliver's supernatural power isn't something humans can possess. His supernatural power allows him to converge and gather magic all together. Though it might seem simple, the magical power accumulated to the limit creates an unparalleled destructive power. He uses his Heaven Slash and is confident that it will heavily damage the enemy. During the previous subjugations, he used his slash to sever the Black Dragon's wing, which robbed its flight capabilities. A black dragon that has lost its wings is slow-footed, so he assumed that it wouldn't be able to pursue them now. However, this time his slash wasn't even able to leave a scratch. The dragon swings his tail and smashes Oliver, the most renowned explorer, into the ground. Seeing the helpless state of their leader stuns each and every member of the hero's party. Covered in dirt and scars, Oliver admits that his heavenly slash isn't working against this black dragon. However, he refuses to admit that they are getting beaten one-sidedly to this extent. Runa calls him out again and asks him if he's alright. Normally, Oliver would list down countless strategies to turn the tables. However, this time, his eyes are wide open with fear and he asks Runa in a shaking voice what they should do now. Enraged, Runa reminds him that this is something he as a leader should decide. She tells him to get a grip on himself. She lowers her head and suggests that since they don't have much of a choice, they should just use the Capricus door. Apparently, the Caprica's door forcibly connects the space of the places they have gone before to another. This allows them to move to another location instantaneously, though it's only viable in the dungeon. Therefore, the destination of the move is random and only between the boss areas. Runa reminds him that they will have to fight another floor boss immediately after moving, but it will be times better than the Black Dragon. Oliver immediately agrees and announces that he will use the Caprica's door now, and once he uses it, there will be a distortion of space, so he commands everyone to jump in instantly. He opens the portal, and just when they are about to jump in, the Black Dragon swings his tail again. Their movement is restricted, and Oliver wonders how a Black Dragon could be this strong. The dragon charges at them, but suddenly gets teleported into the portal. Apparently, no one knew that a dragon could use the Caprica's door as well. Although their lives are saved, someone else will have to deal with this nightmare, for which this party will be penalized. They run outside to save the others, but Runa convinces them to recruit Oran back because he was the reason behind their precious strength. Oran and his party have reached the 36th floor of the Great South Maze, and he's really glad to know that it's finally the last exploration day. Thank God they were able to reach it. Their goal for the day is to capture floors 36 to 50, after which they will use the transfer crystal to return back home. It looks like their journey is growing shorter, but it's unclear if they're excited about their return. This is when they're called to discuss their plan of action, and soon it's decided that the leaders will take care of the demonic beast that can't be defeated by the rookies, as in the past, while battles against the bosses will involve the whole team. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? However, Oran is feeling a particularly bad vibe from the maze this morning, and his gut feeling is usually never wrong if we look at some of his history. However, it's too soon to give up. Let's just try to be optimistic here, guys. Moreover, he doesn't even know if the bad vibe is because of the weird look on Logan's face, or if it has something to do with the creepy maze itself. But deciding that it's not important for now, he turns to Caroline, who is also in the 10th Squadron. It looks like he wants to offer some advice to her about playing more defensively, since he should be more aware and try to move carefully when she's fighting the monsters. Of course, he thinks she'll be able to help her teammates if she only moves to get the monster's attention. However, Caroline surely doesn't agree with his advice since she doesn't want to make her teammates work harder, which is why she's happy to stay in the front line to fight. She has made up her mind to put all thoughts of cooperation aside for now and focus on the maze. This is when Oran mentions Albert, the ace of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits, who is supposedly really important to Caroline, but he was also the one who lost his life in the battle against the Black Dragon, and it looks like the strength of the clan has decreased considerably without him, just like Mrs. Selma. Mentioning Albert was supposed to make Caroline a bit scared from the unknown fate. However, she's even more determined as she knows that the ace of her clan died protecting his comrades. She really believes that he had to die in order to keep his and his clan's legacy alive. Oran has understood that his word won't be having any effect on her after listening to her speech. Therefore, he gives up after telling her that he's counting on her, which makes Caroline smile. At this point, Caroline interrupts their conversation as she really needs Oran's advice on what exactly she needs to do to become stronger. He is aware that he needs to answer her questions within a reasonable range without hurting her feelings, or demotivating her, therefore he asks her to explain what sorcery is. Immediately, Sophia starts off by telling him that the premise of sorcery is to use the magic that exists in the air, and the power to use various phenomenon is called magic, which is something that only hexen beasts can use. Sorcery, on the other hand, is a magic-based technology, since it's possible to create magic power by using it through a formula. Humans who originally could not use magic can use it now because of this particular magical phenomena. Since Sophia knows all about this, Oran is quite impressed with the girl. However, he still wonders if asking her for more details would confuse her. He decides to ask her more about the procedure of magic, but the girl holds her ground well, and answers with such perfection that it leaves no doubt in the older boy's mind that this newcomer is too smart. Oran appreciates her intelligence, and promises to teach her the skills that she needs to take her abilities to the next level, as well as the necessary techniques. This obviously makes Sophia too happy and grateful, and so they continue their journey to the 40th floor of the maze. They continue their conversation about parallel construction, and it means exactly what it sounds like, since it's the art of building two or more formulas at the same time. Oran is sure to tell her that it is no exaggeration to say that advanced magicians need this skill. Sophia is a bit confused at this statement, as it sounds a bit too difficult for her, until Oran informs her that everyone can do two or more formulas at the same time once they get used to it. Of course, he mentions that Logan used to do it as well. Moreover, some people can build dozens of formulas at the same time, and this particular point just makes Sophia's brain go wild. She can't seem to understand why parallel construction is so important. This is how Oran begins to tell her about the 4 levels of offensive magic: beginner, intermediate, and advanced special. He surely thinks it's enough to be an advanced mage if she can use special grade magic. Telling her more about the lower levels, which are filled with demonic beasts that cannot be defeated in one hit, he mentions how parallel magic can help in such desperate situations. Sophia now completely understands how attractive this kind of magic sounds. Therefore, she promises to do her best to do it, which makes her new teacher proud. Of course, he still thinks that she should get some of the veteran members of the clan, or even Selma to teach her, but obviously, she only wants Oran to be the one to give her these lessons. However, it's obvious that she feels like it will be a tad problematic for him. Oran agrees to teach her, as long as Selma gives her permission, as he is practically a stranger. But Sophia obviously has a soft spot for him, so it wouldn't hurt to ask. A few minutes later, they arrive at the boss area where it's Orin's turn to shine. They join up with Selma at this level and she orders them to move according to their role only. The leaders tell Orin to take over, and he seems happy about it. He promises to do his best so everyone can focus on the battle, and informs them that he will only take 2 minutes, which makes the leaders laugh at his optimism. He tells Sophia to hide, therefore she watches the leaders fight from a distance. She has definitely never seen something like this before, since it's so different from their kind of fighting. She watches 2 of the defenders attack while drawing the giant's attention, while Orin attacks a blind spot, and they attack the lower part of the giant boss monster. Selma and Cassie are also getting strong as they attack the upper body with magic, and it's obvious that the team isn't here to waste any time, even though they're all working together for the first time ever. She really wishes that she can be like them when the battle finally ends, and the whole team thanks Orin for his tremendous support. Orin has an instantaneous ability increase, which makes the performance and durability of his equipment and the power of his magic go up 100 times. They cut the scissors, which only leaves the shell to be cracked. Therefore, everyone waits until Selma gives them the signal. Selma tells everyone to go and they all start attacking. They end up defeating the boss monster in the blink of an eye. They have finally conquered level 50, which makes Orin's mission almost complete. The atmosphere in the clan is great after this amazing victory, and it looks like everything will end without any incidents. Of course, they have started celebrating too soon, since a giant black dragon shows up to ruin their fun at this point. Orin's fears have come true in the worst possible way, as he stands with Sophia while the black dragon stands in front of them like a terrifying beast. The jet black dragon has been transferred by the heroic group after their blunder, since this beast is definitely not supposed to have appeared in this level. The monster is a tyrant that unilaterally attacks the explorers in the depths to surely give them a black and fiery death. The entire clan is shocked by the appearance of the beast, but they have no idea how exactly it got here. Suddenly, none of them can move out of fear, which makes Selma realize that they might end up dying if they do nothing. Orin's reaction comes faster than her though, as he immediately tells the leaders to bring in the new recruits and protect them to the death. His experience of the ordeal he just went through has given him a boost, and this motivates Selma to tell his clan to stay strong. They put the magic barriers in front of the defenders, and they get ready by taking a defensive stance. Their shields are against the Black Dragon's attack, and it's obvious that there's a lot of pressure on them since the entire group is counting on them. Of course, they instantly know that they will end up dying when the Black Dragon spits out its fireball, while Orin's instantaneous skill makes the magic barrier's effectiveness increase in an instant. Orin is glad to see everyone alive after the fireball attack ends, but he is still confused about why there's a black dragon in the middle level when it's supposed to be at level 94. Plus, this place is definitely not big enough for a big demonic beast from the deep level, which makes it obvious that there's something terribly wrong. Who could even be behind this, or has the entire system just gotten messed up? Putting this aside though, he has to come up with something to help him overcome and survive this problem. The path to level 51 is also ready, and they are already at the transmigration crystal after defeating the boss of this level. This makes his brain light up with an idea, as he now knows that they can escape if they just get to the crystal. He is the only one who can move properly, however, which means that he will have to leave the clan behind if he wants to survive. Since demonic beasts have a habit of heading for places where there are many people, it's obvious that it will head to his group soon. This means that he has no choice but to fight the dragon, as he clearly doesn't want to be the only one who comes out of this alive. His job now is to guide all new explorers to level 51, therefore he's decided to fight. He immediately attacks the black dragon, and throws the spare sword at his eyes until he attacks from the air, and uses a momentary increase in skill to hit once again. Selma looks for any signs of defeat for the dragon, but is disappointed when the dragon shows up again without a scratch. This makes Orin realize that the beast can't be defeated like this, therefore he asks the leaders to protect the rookies while he deals with the black dragon. He is confident that he has a chance to win, so he draws the black dragon's attention away from everyone. When the beast is paying attention to him, Orin uses a reflective barrier to reflect the dragon's attack back to him, which leaves his entire audience's mouths wide open, since they had no idea about the existence of such magic. Furthermore, Orin increases all of his skills, which builds all the basic types of support magic in parallel, and activates them simultaneously. Its difficulty is definitely high, and this makes Selma wonder if she should provide her support to him when the bud disappears since his magic is weak. She gets shocked when Orin still holds up his magic and increases it multiple times, as she has never heard of such a thing before. This is quite scary to her, as she can't even guess how much combat power he has now. Orin gets near the dragon in the blink of an eye, while the clan members look in awe, and it's clearly not enough to say that his physical abilities have increased unimaginably. However, this magic has its disadvantages as well, as it doesn't have any effect on anyone other than Orin, and it can only be used in short-term battles, because it involves parallel construction of up to 30 techniques. Orin's carrying a lot of this magical burden, and it's evident that he has exhausted himself, which finally makes him realize that he needs to end this battle quickly, unless he wants to end up dying. Orin doesn't remember exactly when it happened, but when he and Oliver were a pair of kids, they had the bad luck of finding their entire town murdered by a bunch of thieves while they were training. Their first reaction was to cry, until they made the decision to be so strong that they will never let anyone take anything from them again. Whatever the circumstances, they had promised to be strong enough to protect anything important to them. Orn remembers this promise while he is facing off against the Black Dragon, and he knows that the world was unreasonable at that time, but that incident led him to become an explorer and to find his power and knowledge. He needs to reject all his limitations to protect everyone, and this is his only focus. He tells himself that it's not difficult, since he just has to defeat the enemy in front of him, while Selma can't believe that he actually wants her to let him defeat the Black Dragon all by himself. But she also knows that it must have been really hard for Orn to build this formula to increase his skills. Therefore, all she can do is to protect the rookies and let him concentrate, since there clearly is a considerable burden on him. Suddenly, the dragon starts coming for him when he is in the air and unprotected. It's certainly a nice move, but Orn is one step ahead of the beast. He quickly uses his magic to do a quick scaffold in the air, and finally comes back on the ground with the dragon under his feet. The entire clan has never witnessed such an extraordinary display, which makes Selma realize that Orn's ability can only be used by him and Oliver, as this is how they gather magic and materialize it. Oliver obviously uses it as a method of attack since it has a wide range of uses and is inherently a very attractive supernatural ability. They have just witnessed Orn unleash its magical power as it can be used for aerial movement, which helped him overpower the Black Dragon. Orn continues to increase his sharpness and durability, and lands some more scars on the dragon's tough scales while the crowd cheers for him. This is when Selma notices a weird expression on Orn's face, until an explosion goes off and nobody can see anything for a while. When the smoke clears up, Sophia is glad to see that Orn dodged the dragon's attack, but it looks like things are going to get more problematic for them. The dragon still stands tall, and apparently it has shapeshifted the mist and turned it into a weapon, and it's clear that nobody has ever heard of such an attack. Orn has also made some sense of the dragon's trick, as it's magic that harnesses the magic from its surroundings called the Convergence of Forces. The Black Dragon's main attack might be a quick strike with a fireball or its tail. However, those are not the only attacks it can do. The real threat for Orn is the purple mist, which sometimes changes shape like a whip, sometimes like a spear, allowing it to attack in all directions. This has made him realize that the Black Dragon is still not fighting seriously, and this has clearly made him quite angry with the monster. It's time for Orn to use a fireball of his own, while he quickly moves closer to the dragon while avoiding the mist. Suddenly, the dragon increases its attack speed, which makes it hard for Orn to dodge, and he puts a mud wall between them since he has realized that he needs to keep some distance between them. A few minutes later, Orn's confidence takes a downfall when he realizes that his mud wall hasn't worked. The clan also knows that it's indeed a terrible battle, while Selma is also looking quite nervous since the dragon clearly doesn't have any decisive moves. On the other hand, Orn is thinking about the last time he fought the dragon with the Heroes group, when Derek and Luna took care of the mist while Oliver and Inari took care of their firepower. It certainly wasn't the firepower that killed the beast, which makes him wonder if he can do the same thing, as he is the only one who can do it. He reminds himself of the promise he made when he was a kid, while repeating that he needs to believe in himself to beat the Black Dragon. Of course, Selma is also trying to decode the battle, as she is well aware by now that the Black Dragon's attacks are impossible to defend against. Orn pushes the Black Dragon away from attacking them, which is kind of him, while he also dodges all the attacks, which are the moves of an evasive defender. She never knew that something like this could be done against the Black Dragon, and it sounds like she's impressed once again. Orn has also decided to evade the attack even though Derek isn't with him this time, and clearly won't need the healer role that Moon used to play if he doesn't get hit by the opponent. He continues to think about Oliver, Inari, and the rest of the Heroes gang while running towards the dragon, and finally hits him without causing much damage to the beast. Of course, Orn doesn't want to land any damage yet, as he only wants to bring the beast's attention back to him. Orn sets a spell around him, and asks if the Black Dragon has ever seen so many spells in his life, as he's decided to hit the monster with multiple spells at once. His magical attack doesn't do much damage either, as expected, which is why Orn is already prepared with another move. He starts the amplification chain, while Selma points out that the magic attacks are being enhanced. She knows that the amplification chain is when magic attacks go through the plays where the spell is set, and it absorbs the surrounding magic power, which triggers the same offensive magic with amplified power. This is also one of Orn's original magic spells that he uses in combination with magic convergence. Meanwhile, Orn has made the decision to overcome Anelli's offensive magic, which changes the color of the sword as well. Unlike Oliver's golden sword, this one is jet black, and Orn is holding it like the hero that he evidently looks like. He challenges the beast to resume the battle, while the entire clan watches him play the role of all the members of the Heroes group on his own. And it's crystal clear to everyone that this man will not back down until the dead body of the Black Dragon is in his hands. One heavenly flash later, Orn is confident that the Black Dragon's wings will surely be destroyed because of the sudden collision with the beast. He really hopes that this attack must have greatly reduced its mobility. One thing that is really making Orn overthink is how did the dragon know the target of his attack when it's the first time this particular monster has seen a heavenly flash? He really needs to put some more thought in his next move. Of course, Orn doesn't know that the Black Dragon had already been hit by Oliver's Heavenly Flash before appearing on this level, which means that the monster clearly knows the purpose of the attack and the power it generates, and this information helped him to protect his own lifeline, his wings, and the majestic tail. Orn is now surrounded by a lot of mist, which is the dragon's common attack, and he's taken aback for a second. He regains his composure soon and determines that since the dragon is not fooling around, this has really become a serious fight from now on. He generates his magic convergence once more, since he has realized that he doesn't have much time as the magic support will disappear soon. However, seeing his desperate situation, Selma tries to offer some support magic to help him out before he can attack the dragon with even more useless tricks. Obviously, the mighty magician Orn doesn't want any support magic as he doesn't want his magic convergence to be interrupted. Therefore, he tells Selma to not even think about helping him out. Better yet, he would actually prefer if Selma would just stop paying attention to him since he only wants the clan to protect themselves for now. Selma works it out that their brave defender's ability might be enough for the fight, and since he really doesn't want any support, she announces that she will leave the Black Dragon to him only while she prepares to cheer for him. Go team, guys! The clan can't see much from where they're standing, but it's clear to them that Orn is still going to fight. He surely doesn't back down easily, right? Selma couldn't believe that she's actually witnessing a battle like this, until Sophia tells her not to worry about Orn as he is quite brilliant, plus he's really just become their hero. The Black Dragon is still at large, until Orn manages to knock him to the ground with a self-inflicted wound, which might mean that the monster's condition is not perfect for now. However, the Black Dragon still has his mist that he uses again to catch his opponent off guard, and it's unbelievable that the beast has so much power. This is when Orn finally decides to use the magic sword creation, which makes his team think that there's a black lump coming from under his feet. He attacks with the magic sword, while the entire clan starts feeling an uncomfortable pressure, and they really don't see an end to this fight. Before they can lose hope though, Selma spots the jet black sword in his hand, and this makes the rest of her team notice it as well. They can't believe that the sword was created in this maze only, and they can feel that the atmosphere is clearly different from the swords he has used so far. It looks like the magic itself has condensed around the sword, which is revealed to be a cube weapon that combines magic support and magic convergence to create improvised weapons by hardening the ground around it. It is not crystal clear to everyone that Orn has power that far exceeds that of special class magic. However, Selma's thoughts are interrupted by yet another attack from the Black Dragon's side. Orn is aware that the Black Dragon's attack is terrifying, but he doesn't think that he can afford it anymore, which is why he decides to take a serious action. He uses the reflective barrier once again and jumps to dodge the beast's attack while using the barriers to charge at his opponent from above. Using the self-weight increase, Orn throws himself at the dragon while screaming at the top of his lungs, and it's obvious that he has put his entire energy into this attack. Selma gets a bit scared by this attack at first as well, but soon starts wondering if Orn is okay or if the Black Dragon is finally defeated. She slowly opens her eyes and sees the beast's dead body lying on the ground before spotting Orn, who is still holding his black sword with a pained expression on his face. Sophia instantly cries out when Orn looks back at the clan, and suddenly they all rush towards him to make sure that he's okay. We are taken to the Explorers Guild shortly before Orn confronts the Black Dragon, since it's the third day of the quest and there's an emergency situation in the entire building. Luna runs inside to tell the people in charge to call the guild leader since their matter is quite time sensitive and the clock is ticking. She reveals that they are a team of heroes, or rather the Golden Dawn, as this is the official name of the team since it was decided by Orn and Oliver about 9 years ago. Her requests are interrupted by Eleonora, an employee of the Explorers Guild, who asks her team to follow her to the conference room for the time being, while the other staff members will keep trying to get in touch with their guild leader. A few minutes later, they are sitting comfortably in the conference room with the guild leader Leon. The team of heroes is quite sorry about disturbing Leon and his executives, but they have clearly come here to ask for an urgent favor, which confuses the guild leader a tiny bit. Luna begins explaining that they need all of the explorers of the Great Labyrinth and make them return through the deportation portal. Her request is a bit unconventional for Leon, which might be intimidating for Luna as she is the one handling the negotiations, instead of Oliver, who's been quiet for the last few hours. He really can't be much of a help to their team in this meeting, and this makes Luna miss Orn, who always used to handle these sorts of things. At this point, Leon speaks up, telling them that he needs a good reason to act on their request, since deportation magic is a spell that involves many people. Luna is obviously aware that it's a bit hasty, which is why she decides to tell their story to the executives briefly, but she still promises to tell the entire team that they are done with this. All she needs is for these high-level people to be patient with her for now. She reveals that the reason of applying for deportation at this time is because there is an extremely high possibility that the Black Dragon, who is supposed to be the floor boss on the 92nd level, has moved to the upper, middle, or lower boss area. She's not exactly sure about which level it is though. Leon is alarmed by this information, while Luna directs his attention to the possibility of someone dying if they run into the Black Dragon, and it's clear that they won't even get a chance to defend themselves against such a beast. Moreover, she suggests that they need to take the task of confronting the Black Dragon after deporting the explorers. Of course, deporting them is the first priority since it's a matter of human life here. Leon thinks for a second, but agrees that it's an emergency if Luna's story is actually true, which is why he promises to ask for more details later. He turns to the rest of the executives, announcing that he would like to vote for the request to be done. Of course, if the upper management has any questions, they can try to resolve their issues as well. Luna is aware that the truth of this information is uncertain to everyone in the guild, but she has no idea to what extent they will believe her, which is why she is prepared for some trouble. Fortunately, there seems to be no one in the conference room to oppose their request. Therefore, Leon decides to act on the Team of Heroes' request. This news comes as a huge relief to poor Luna, and she is sure that Orn is the one who gave them the power of speech, which makes her entire team indebted to him. This is when she tells Leon that she would like to make a request regarding deportation, asking if it's possible to move the people from levels 45 to 50 to the square near the Great Maze. It's obvious that they know about Orn scouting the area, and they would really like to join him. Thankfully, Leon is not opposed to this request as well, and moves on to proceed with the deportation. Leon orders his executives to inject magic power, while Luna is praying to Orn so he can lend some of his magic strength to them. She really wants him to tell them what happened, so their team members can apologize and they can all go back to the way they were before. The guild executives are soon done with the deportation process, which is why Leon tells the Team of Heroes to kill the Black Dragon while they stay back to support the explorers disoriented by the sudden deportation. They hope to win together in this mission for sure. Before Luna can convince her team to go and look for Orn, Derek interrupts her speech as he really doesn't think that they need a weakling like him. Apparently, they were talking on their way to the guild, and it's clear that Derek doesn't believe that the magic Luna talked about is even true. Annalie also supports Derek, as she believes that they lost only because the Black Dragon took them by surprise. Luna can't believe that his team members are still complaining at this point, and it seems like they're quite blind to the reality of the situation they're in. She resolves to give them a final reality check by mentioning that they are the weakest among the S-ranked teams currently, and it's obvious that a team like this can never beat the Black Dragon. Derek is still not ready to listen to her since he is arrogant about the strength of his team, which makes Luna insult him for the first time since they were only able to achieve everything because of Orn. Derek and Anelli would have been A ranks if it wasn't for Orn's support, so it's only logical for Luna to put them in their place. Derek is furious at her statements. Therefore, he challenges her to a fight by running straight at her with his sword, after Luna tells him that she would definitely beat him in a one-on-one fight. Before his sword can hit Luna though, he finds that he is completely unable to move, while she looks at him with an expression that screams disappointment. It looks like the fight will escalate until Oliver jumps in, telling both of them to cut it out. He wants his team to find Orn first, as they can only make a decision about what to do next when he is with them. Derek is obviously too much of a weakling to argue with him. Therefore, he agrees, while Luna is a bit irritated at Oliver for talking so late. A few minutes later, they reach the entrance of the Great South Maze, when they spot the dead body of the Black Dragon, which gives them the shock of their lives. Their first thought is that something is wrong, since there are too many people around. Hence, they make the decision to not let their guards down while they approach the Black Dragon. The whole crowd clears their way for them after recognizing them, but they don't look too happy after confirming that the dragon is indeed dead. At this point, they spot Orn with his sword a little further from their location, and he instantly tells them that they have come to the right place at the right time. Luna figures that the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky clan must have defeated the dragon, until she sees that Orn is the only one who is wounded to the bone. Orn looks too tired to talk, and turns to leave after handing something to Luna so it can be processed. Luna is amazed that Orn has managed to defeat the Black Dragon when her team couldn't even compete with her, and it looks like Oliver is a bit furious about this fact as he steps in front of Orn with an expression that literally means death. Of course, Oliver lets him go without even saying a word to him, and the nighttime comes soon enough. Sophia is sitting down writing about her day in the journal as it has been a really tremendous day for her. She believes that Orn is too much for her as she has been rescued by him again, and makes her daydream about how he always has such a kind face. He has just become the coolest person she knows, and it's making her blush somehow. Later, Selma arrives home with her hair all over the place, and it's clear that she is too tired to even stand. She instantly falls on the bed to sleep without even taking a bath. Therefore, Sophia suggests that they should bathe together. The two of them sit in the bath, and Sophia is really glad that her sister is finally starting to look better. However, something is obviously bothering her. Therefore, she asks her little sister about her thoughts regarding the battle between Orn and the Black Dragon, since the rest of the rookies didn't get it, but she is quite curious to see what exactly Sophia has found out regarding this particular fight. Sophia begins telling her eldest sister that Orn's way of fighting and his movements were completely inhuman, and he even used magic that she has never seen before. Other than this, she believes that it was just a basic fight. Elaborating a bit more, she reveals that she was taught the same basic behaviors of each role that were used by Orn, which makes Selma also realize that literally one person was responsible for the actions of all the party members. Sophia has decided that she wants to be as cool as Orn, while Selma replays the battle where she clearly witnessed otherworldly strength from Orn's side. It made her feel like she was in a realm far beyond her comprehension, but Sophia obviously only interpreted what she saw in her own way based on her knowledge. She also hopes to be an explorer who can measure up to him one day, but she's unsure if such a day would ever come. Her goal is too far away, which makes her a bit sad, and she instantly hugs her little sister. Sophia also admires her sister a lot, as she showed her a way different from the one their parents had planned. They have always looked out for each other, which makes Sophia promise that her sister can always count on her whenever she can be useful enough to be of help. At this point, Selma asks her if she can sleep in a bed with her little sister after a long time, and is grateful when Sophia agrees. It looks like their sister bonding time is going great. The morning arrives, and Oren is still in bed while he cries out in pain. His muscles are so sore from the previous day's battle, but it's still fortunate that he is not suffering from any lasting effects after using such poor magic. Perhaps this is also a magical mistake? He had returned home on his own after coming out of the maze, even though he is sorry for everyone in the clan, but he wonders what happened after he left. He is curious, but it might be too rude to go there so suddenly, therefore he decides against taking any action right away. For the time being, he's going to go to the Explorers Guild and find out more about what happened after he left. Soon, he's sitting in the conference room with Leon, the team of heroes, and the rest of the executives, and it looks like they also want to know about what happened in the maze. He reveals that he only fought with the Black Dragon, which makes Leon turn to Luna, who informs everyone that the matter of the Black Dragon's dead body was resolved quickly with the help of the guild. Turning back to the real hero of the hour, Leon asks if Oren killed the Black Dragon alone, as this is what Selma told him, but the hero stays silent for a second. He really can't believe that these people can be so stupid, but he replies that he really did defeat the monster without any help. Moreover, he tells them about the new attack patterns that he learned during the battle, and how it compared to their last fight. But before he can say anything else, Derek interrupts to boast that Oren was lucky to take down the beast after he was left vulnerable from Oliver and Anelli's attacks. Oren tells him to shut up right away, which makes him even more furious. Our hero clearly doesn't care about Derek's stupid words. Therefore, he turns to Oliver and asks why exactly he did a dive so soon with a newly hired charmer, and he thinks that his old friend made a wrong and arrogant decision. Surprisingly, Oliver tells him that he's right, which makes Oren mention that their team nearly died many times when they were into the depths in the past together. This comment makes Oliver scream out that this is exactly why he changed their charmer. Oren mentions that he's not mad about being kicked out, but he's only angry about them disrespecting the enchanter. However, he really thinks that Oliver and his team wanted the rookies to be on the same level as him from the start, even though it takes a lot of nerves for the enchantress while exploring the labyrinth. He is furious at Oliver for having these unrealistic expectations, as he doesn't see how a party can fall apart when a B-ranked team even knows about these particulars. Plus, Oliver just gives orders from a safe distance, right? But it looks like his old friend is not in a mood to understand anything, as he clearly believes that anyone who knows how to use support magic can do it. He is too stubborn about it, which makes Oren list down their team's seconds as he mentions that it's time for them to wear off. During this conversation, he also gives them a quick refresher about how a bestowing enchanter casts an average of 3 buffs on an ally during a fight. Plus, the timing of when the magic activates is not always the same either. The atmosphere is getting tense, folks. He suggests that he will keep track of all of these durations, update the buffs, and make sure that they have the right one for them. Moreover, Oliver will also have to play the role of command center, which will allow him to give instructions to the group. But it seems like Oliver might not be completely on board with this idea. However, Oren goes ahead and asks if his old teammates are ready to do this.